Welcome to another Tap In on Tuesdays where we use EFT tapping to help strengthen your authentic creative connection. So, there was this saying that I remember hearing, I'm sure you've probably heard this too, bloom where you're planted. And I remember being much younger and thinking that is not really good advice because, for example, this is the actual example I remember thinking when I was younger. If you are living in New York City and you want to have a big farm and lots of gardens, New York City's not really the place to do that. I'm not saying you can't have a garden, but like having several acres and a farm in New York City, why don't you just go someplace that's better suited for that? So the idea of making the most of where you are in the moment and blooming in that regard. Fantastic. Love that. The idea of bloom where you're planted for me also has this settling effect. You or idea with it. It has this vibe of like, okay, I'm gonna stay where I am and make the most of it. And making the most of it is fantastic. If there's someplace better for you to go because it feels better, because you like it better, because it's better matched to who you are and what you want to experience, don't bloom where you are. Go over there and bloom. That's my take on it. So that's what we're going to tap on. Taking full responsibility for your well-being and all of the benefits of this tapping. Bloom where you're planted or go someplace better. That's it for the opening. Eyebrow point. I've heard I should bloom where I'm planted. Side of the eye. And I like the idea of making the most of where I am in any given moment. Under the eye. I like knowing that I don't need the conditions to change in order to bloom where I am. Under the nose. And yet, there's a part of me that's not a fan of this saying. Under the mouth. Because it feels like settling for less. Collarbone. It feels like saying I have to stay where I am when I know someplace else would be better for me. Under the arm. And that does not feel good to me, and it's not inspiring. Top of the head. Settling does not feel good to me. Quick note, if you actually like this expression and you feel really good and you do feel inspired by it, feel free to skip this one. You don't have to tap along or tap anyway because you're going to still feel the benefit of it. It's just you don't it's okay if you don't agree with this or you have different feelings on it. I'm sure some people love this quote for other reasons. And so just adding that note. Let's keep tapping. I like the idea of making the best of where I am. I also really like knowing that where I am helps me know if I'd rather be someplace else. And honestly, I don't always know where the better place is for me to go. What I do know is if I'm trying to make something work that clearly doesn't feel good and isn't working, where I stay because it's where I am, that just doesn't feel good to me. I don't like the idea of settling someplace that I don't want to be. And it's not like somebody else has to say, okay, well, you're here, you might as well stay. Or this is where I've planted you, so you're going to bloom. I actually have the freedom to make another decision. I have the choice to go someplace that's better for me. I can pick up my roots and go. In some cases, you don't even need the roots. You can cut off and plant someplace else. I'd rather bloom where I really want to be. I have clarity from my experiences on what it is I prefer, and I'd rather go for it. I'd rather do what I really like to be doing. I'd rather go where it's better suited to me. I don't want to grow a huge farm and garden in Manhattan. I want to go out where there's acres and acres and acres of fields. Or if I want to be in a submarine, I don't want to be in the middle of the country where there's no deep sea. Not because there's not a way to make something happen no matter what, where we are, but because sometimes there is a place that is much better suited to what we want to do. And it's okay to simply go to that place instead. So, yes, I can make the most of where I am right now. And I can bloom where I am planted. And I can also say that, hey, I'm the gardener here, and I'd rather be planted someplace else. I'm going to go someplace better for me. I'm going to have better relationships. I'm going to have better physical surroundings. I'm going to have better conditions for what it is I want to live. And I'm going to feel really good about experiencing that instead. Because it's not that it's not good enough. It's because I am not meant to settle. I can and I will work with what I've got no matter where I am. And I will also trust my desire when someplace else is a better choice. So I will bloom where I'm planted, and I'll decide where I'm planted first. Because I have the creative power to do that. I'm not settling for less than what I want. I'm not going to stay when I know I should go. I'm not going to box myself in when I'm not meant to be here. I'm not going to let other people's concerns or desires limit my own choices. I'm not going to let anyone make me feel guilty or shameful for making this decision. Just because I started here doesn't mean I'm going to finish here. I give myself permission to bloom where I'm planted or go someplace better and bloom there instead. I want to throw in one more round of something. I know I deserve to be happy. I know I deserve to be successful. I know I deserve to have my dreams coming true. I know that I can follow my heart and that my heart deserves to be followed because I am not being reckless and careless in my decisions here. I am honoring who I am and what I actually feel called to do. And it's safe for me to go someplace else to bloom instead. Okay. So I think also bloom where you're planted for me kind of has the vibe of, well, you were here, you should stay here, you started here, you're supposed to finish here. And I don't actually think that's accurate. I don't think that's the best advice or the best thing to say to someone because, as we just tapped on, sometimes it's truly better for you to go someplace else. And sometimes you might start in one situation and you just know, like, hey, actually, I tried this and I learned from it. And what I learned is that I'd rather experience something else. So same thing for anything creative that you're doing. That was more like a general in your life. But if you want to get more specific about a project that you might be working on, let your project change. If you started with one idea in your head and you think like, oh, I have to stick with it and I have to have it follow through, maybe that's a good choice. But if it feels like you're forcing yourself to do something that doesn't align with who you are and what you now know you'd like to create instead, let it go. Let it go. That book you started writing, not the book you want to do anymore. Great. It was great then. Let it go. Write what you want to write now. Whatever life you want to be living, dive into it. You do not have to be settling. You do not have to stay where you started. It's just not necessary. And anybody who tries to manipulate you or control you into staying when they know, because you know so clearly that something else is better, is not really with your best interest in mind. And as difficult as that can be, some people might be disappointed, some people might be jealous, some people might be hurt. It's okay for people to respond however they choose to. What's not so okay, and you're going to feel sick from and not enjoy your life as much from, is staying in some place trying to bloom where you're planted when you know there's someplace better for you instead. And you don't even have to know specifically where that place is. Just be willing to let yourself go there. Be like those seeds that fly in the wind, and yes, they might go onto the ground, but they're still going to get blown around more, or some animal is going to carry them and bury them someplace else. You are not controlled by other people with where you can go and what you can do. Decide what you want, believe you can have it, move in that direction. All right. So I will see you next week for another Tap In on Tuesdays.